In this chapter, you are going to learn about the last of the four market structures. In particular, you will learn about the market structure of monopolistic competition and the market structure of an oligopoly. So as we have discussed, each of the market structures have certain criteria, characteristics that exemplify firms within that market structure. We've already discussed perfect competition and monopoly, and this chapter will discuss really the market structures where much of American industry lies. So the characteristics of a monopolistic competition market structure. There are many small sellers, and they're selling items that are similar to each other. So that's a little bit different from perfect competition, in which the items that they sell are identical. There is easy entry and exit as in perfect competition. However, in this case, the firms in monopolistic competition are price makers. So that's sort of like a monopoly in that the monopolist makes the price. Perfect competition takes the price. We will also explore that firms in monopolistic competition often end up with what's called excess capacity. They tend not to be producing the output, which minimizes their average total cost. But as before, where firms in monopolistic competition will maximize profits, marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So it's the same rule, and the graphs will look very similar to the monopoly market structure. And then you will explore the characteristics of an oligopoly. And an oligopoly is a market structure with few sellers. Really doesn't matter what the item is, whether it's similar or an identical item, but the key is that there are a few sellers, so there are a few businesses selling whatever this is, and there are high barriers to entry. So you can see why this is a little bit closer to the monopoly side, in that entry into this industry tends to be rather difficult. And while these firms may desire to maximize profits where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, you will discover that really these firms behave a little strategically with each other. They know who the competition is, so their behavior might be more strategic than it is simply just finding that point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So at the conclusion of chapter 10, you will have explored all four market structures, and I would encourage you to make sure that you can identify the characteristics of all four and how the firms in each of these market structures behave.